Do we have enough light there?
Yeah, the light's good, but
okay.
if Joe would move over a little bit,
all right, yeah.
we could get both of you in the picture.
In our purple today?
Let's see,
the
right
day
there.
after Halloween.
Day after Halloween.
2017.
Matching purple.
That's right.
That's kind of how the synchronicities of the universe go, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And this is Jason Prophet, and I'm here in Greenville. I'm Jill Reed. We've been talking on the phone for a while, and what I found about Jason was the things that he learned in some books that I got years after he did. He's applied to his life, and here in Greenville, he's got quite a story. And it's all about bringing in something that can be of value, bringing something to life that didn't exist before he decided to create it.
That's right.
And the joy you get from doing such things. So take it away and share with us something.
Sure. You know, it was probably the late 90s, or it was late 90s when I ran across this big mysterious black book. It was called the Neo-Tech Discovery. I had always been somebody who was interested in bettering my life and wanted to learn how to build a business or be self-employed. I knew that I didn't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. You know, I didn't seem to have that kind of personality. Well, after reading this big, mysterious book, I learned that there are all sorts of business and personal advantages that one can gain simply by having certain knowledge and applying that knowledge. And here we are more than 20 years later, and the benefits of the things that I have learned through Neothink and through applying Neothink. Neothink isn't just something to learn. It's a tool you have to actually apply. And an application of Neothink has really allowed me to not only expand and grow my business, but also to help other businesses grow and reach new heights in their own markets. So by uncovering these secrets, which really are secrets. I mean, they're a lot of this stuff is just common sense, but it's a combination of this knowledge in one place and a process of learning not just intellectually, but learning through emotion. This is a visual process that allows us to really reach new levels of value creation in our life, not just value production, because that's what you do when you go work for somebody. You go work at a computer store, you're fixing computers like mass production style. You're producing
a value that's already being
for
created.
Someone else, right? So when you move into value creation, which is, for example, creating an entirely new brand within a medical community, focusing on a particular topic that not many other people have thought to focus on, and then you can help that business grow into $1 million a year.
That's right, by simply
company.
Going to the common denominators of what the people are looking for, and as you said earlier, placing yourself where you need to be.
That's right, and that's
on their way there.
That's one thing that I think has often been missed in a lot of this literature is the actual action of how do I get dollars into my pocket. And I'm going to tell you guys the secret right now. This is all there is to how to get dollars in your pocket. Look for where the dollars are flowing. Put yourself in between the people spending that money and where it's going. So if people are spending a lot of money on thing A, but you really want to do thing B, do thing A, get that money and fund thing B. Because you can use the value that other people are sending to a particular area as your personal advantage to fund your own projects.
So if I were to be sharing this with someone that is curious about how this Neo-Think thing works, as you said, you can learn it, but you must apply it. What you have just done there is what some would refer to as a white hat, neo-cheating. You're not really doing it. to necessarily hurt that business. You're placing
Right.
yourself in a place to improve your own life.
And it's called standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
That's what it's called. So you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
And in fact, a lot of folks who delve further into the literature and they uncover this word neo-cheating, they often always associate that with somebody who is out to do harm to somebody. But that is only the black hat neo-cheater. It's only the black hat neo-cheater. I will tell you right now, to be a white hat neo-cheater.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because there's plenty of opportunity all over. I mean, especially today in global markets, there is so much business to be done.
There is.
That talk to someone that knows that they can't possibly keep up with the business that they have. They're really not going to care if someone comes along, because then you have business alliance. And
That's
I think
right.
people get confused about that too, Jason. That, oh, they're afraid of aligning with you because I might not win. But it's a win-win situation.
And that's what years ago, when people were looking for haunted attractions in my area during Halloween time, all of the other haunted houses, the little cheesy haunted houses, who only wish they could get the publicity that I do, by the way. They have to spend thousands of dollars to get the publicity that I get. They would have people showing up to their haunted attractions saying they found them on the internet. And then when they would go look at the internet, they would see a listing of haunted attractions on my website.
Because
So we were filtering business for the Greenville Ghost Tour from people that were looking for these other haunted attractions. But in doing so, we were creating value from nowhere for these folks who had never been able to get any kind of traction on the internet. There's one local haunted attraction that spends tens of thousands of dollars to try to get traction over my authority
What do you
in the
call
search
yours
engine.
again? Greenville.
My downtown haunted attraction is Greenville Ghost Tour, and that is a story of haunted tales. It's a walking tour that takes place downtown Greenville, and I spent about 4 years gathering the information to create this tour by getting to know people who actually live and work downtown Greenville. Now, that attraction has been around almost a decade now. Almost a decade. And people still ask, what is a ghost tour? You would think it would be kind of obvious. But, so Greenville Ghost Tour was utilizing people looking for something to do in Halloween season and lifting the value of other haunted attractions at the same time. So this is where that example of, well, you can only get rich by taking advantage of other people is an absolute fallacy. So by utilizing the natural demands, what are people looking for? Well, during this time of year, they're looking for haunted attractions. So that's where the money's flowing. So in helping promote these other haunted attractions for absolutely nothing, my brand grew and is still one of the most highly referenced what to do during Halloween pages there is. And I've met several local haunted attraction owners because I was sending them business.
Sure.
And a couple of them are on the front page of Google now because of work I originally did to help them improve their standing.
And this is Neo.
It is.
This is all it is.
Seeing the
It's
big picture.
creating value where none exists, improving upon values, watching your cost, watching your efficiencies. This is it. There's really nothing else to it.
Exactly.
And how could that be a cult when you're
And
creating
a perfect
a
example,
self-leader?
listen, a perfect example of Neothank. All right? My wife is a physician. And yes, it is possible to attract the partner of your dreams.
Yes.
My wife is a physician. Amazing, amazing woman. But she had been working at a specialist that had basically created an office to fail. So there was a particular medical professional who created a niche service as a tax write-off. And so all the doctors that work at that practice We're constantly being told, oh, you've got to see more people. You've got to do this more. You've got to do that more. Meanwhile, they had a $20,000 server set up in the office, which was completely unnecessary. They had a $1,700 a month T1 connection from a company whose name I won't mention. And it ran about as fast as a dial-up 56K. Seriously. These folks could not actually do business on the network connection that they had because it was so freaking slow by the time two people are making phone calls over the T1 connection. And it was a horribly implemented solution. Not only that, the whole model was set up to fail to begin with. The place was losing money, which meant the guy got to get a tax write-off.
Right.
Okay? But you're actually destroying the value of the people who are working for you when you do that. So these two physicians, my wife and the pediatrician that worked with her, decided they wanted to create their own brand. Like, hey, I know exactly how to do that. They didn't know what to call it. They didn't know how to set it up. They got a consultant to help them set up a physician's practice, because that's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is getting people in the door, right?
Seems like it.
Getting people in the door. That's the trick. So we created their brand. In using Neothink, we set them up on a cable modem connection, which costs a few $100. It's about 40 times faster than the T1 connection, so they can actually get work done. Okay? And this is just common sense stuff from a tech standpoint. To look at these things and evaluate costs, loss, and things of this nature. So by understanding the basics of Neothink and looking at the big picture, we have to look at the grand scale. We have to look at the wide scope accounting is the word that Dr. Wallace liked to use. And that means not just looking at what we need to do to get started, but looking at what the end picture is going to be. And here's a trick. If you can see in your mind's eye what the end picture, the end result is, and visualize that, but not just visualize it, but feel as if it is actually possible. It's not what you think about the most, it's what you feel about the most. And by putting that much emotional energy into the visualization of the end result, you don't actually have to know how to start.
See, that's beautiful, because things will happen.
They will just fall into place. There are many times that I don't know how I'm going to complete a project. I see the end result of the project, which in this case is a successful physician's practice that we helped brand from the name of the company all the way through to a 3-month wait for new patients.
Wow.
A 3-month wait.
3 months.
There's nobody complaining that they need to see more patients now.
No,
there's
I'm
not
sure
enough
there's
time in the day to see the patients that they have.
They're also not complaining that they're not making very much money.
And the paper at the end of the year shows the volume of business to be the same that they were seeing at the other place, but with a much greater profit.
So you you controlled costs and efficiencies. And so you could actually, your profit margin went up because you simply did a control of those things. Because the patients were going to be there regardless.
That's right.
But
They're
you
gonna
knew
be
how to drive more patients to it by making the name work for them, what they do in the location.
Right. And all of the branding has to do with what people are looking for when they've got money in their hand to spend, or they're needing help with a solution. And in this case, it's ADHD, which is a huge problem with our current generation, because there's a lot of things that we didn't know that when folks were in the womb were affecting their neurotransmitters. And it's been found out recently that even acetaminophen. How many pregnant women are given acetaminophen?
Too many.
Research has shown recently, in a report that I was just reading like 2 weeks ago, that acetaminophen has been shown to increase attention deficit and hyperactivity. I'm no doctor, but I know enough to be able to know what people are looking for when they need help with that, to be able to get them to the doctors that can help them with that. Does that make sense? So I can see the picture of what people are looking for and how they need to find that help, and then create the process that allows them to find that help.
Yeah, that's I'm going to speak up right now, because I'm going to be totally honest with you. when I was pregnant with my second child, we had the Yellowstone fires in Wyoming. I don't get headaches, but I was getting these terrible headaches. And the doctor, the pediatrician, told me that's one of the safe things you could take. And I took them. And I would look at my youngest and say, this is the problem. This is why his older brother cannot relate to him, cannot understand his hyperactive, and the ADHD most of the time is so prevalent. Although he got through school, it wasn't something that could keep his attention most times till he found a subject he liked. So this is interesting. And no, you're not a medical doctor, you're not practicing medicine. You have a wife who's been involved, and because of a love in a family, you've learned much more because of this Neothink drilling down to the lowest common denominators of the problem to find the solution. And this is all it's about. And
it is.
I so appreciate this time that we've had.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm a business consultant. I'm a marketing consultant. I help people grow their businesses, and my own businesses have grown in popularity and authority. In fact, just a funny little story. I was sitting in line at my daughter's school yesterday morning. It's Halloween.
Your busiest day of the year.
Busiest day of the year. I'm sitting in line, getting ready to drop my little girl off, and my ex-wife is texting me, "Dude, you're on TV." I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Good morning, Ted and Lauren. What I'm realizing on this assignment is that Greenville, South Carolina is way creepier than I thought it was. Jason Prophet, he hosts Greenville Ghost Tours. It is a walking tour of downtown Greenville.
I'm sitting in the car, dropping the girl off at school. "No, you're on TV, man. They're talking about you like crazy." I was like, "What channel?" Well, about 5 years ago, the local Fox News affiliate had done a 4-hour deal one morning where I was actually on site, and they were at one of my haunted spots, and they were interviewing me. 4 hours.
That's impressive.
I'm a ghost hunter, and I don't get up that early, so I was there for the last 2 hours of that. But the reporter who did that just got in touch with me for a podcast last week. Just got in touch with me for a podcast last week. And, well, because of that podcast and the information that they gleaned from that, that's what they were talking about for 4 hours yesterday morning on our local Fox News affiliate. 4 hours! They're talking about, well, according to Jason Prophet, this is the most haunted block downtown because of the brand that I've built and the authority that Neothink has allowed me to incorporate into my life and the tools that it's given me. I've been able to create brands that have their own life, and I'm getting talked about for 4 hours on a local news affiliate. I'm not even there.
No.
Now that's that. Back in the day, the old marketing used to be money, power, fame, and that's honestly where a lot of the Neothink customers are found, in those databases of people who are looking for
those things in their
business
life.
opportunities and things that seekers.
Right, seekers, because this is for seekers, for searchers. And
Absolutely.
you'll find yourself seeking and searching more than ever.
Absolutely.
And becoming more in life, and those things will come to you. But you said it. You think, but you have to act. You have to apply it. It won't just happen.
Right.
It depends on what you will do with the knowledge that you learn in the books. But the thinking is so important, as we said.
It is. That's why it's called Neo-Think.
That is right.
But there has to be an end to the thinking and a beginning to the process of actually doing. Because a lot of people get petrified in the thinking stage, and they overthink things. And, well, what if this doesn't work, or what if that doesn't work? And I've found with more money, with more business, with more success, comes more problems. You're just naturally going to have it. So it's time to understand that it's not just going to magically fall in your lap. You have to physically take action after you've used what you've learned to visualize where you want to go. You just have to take the step. You don't necessarily have to know what step 2 is going to be.
Exactly.
You just have to get the ball rolling down the hill.
Because it is amazing how oftentimes step 2 will happen. It'll come to you from other sources. when you put it out there and you know what you're going to do, you see that big picture, it's enough for you to be able to pull those things in. But you've got to take that step. You can't expect someone to do it for you. And you'll never have what we were talking about is the creator's exhilaration for life.
That's right.
When we get done doing what we do, whether it's me with my writing, my speaking, helping a relationship, you with what you do, when you get done with what you just created, you are high on life. For as long as you've done it, and sometimes more.
Yeah.
And it keeps you going back for more and more.
Absolutely. And you know, this is a simple brand that has developed into nearly a decade of local notoriety, requests for TV shows, book, all sorts of connections within the media, within the local press. I mean, there are local reporters who are now, well, back then they were reporters, now they're the production executives. And they won't come on site to some of the spooky places where we tell stories because of the things that have happened to them. Because, hey, we tell the stories of really actually spooky places where things really happen. And so these days, when the new reporter is on staff, they're like, hey, we'll send the new reporter out with Jason Prophet. Bound to get some funny stories there. And one gal, she was kind of skeptical last year until she was interviewing me in the cemetery. And one of the anomalies that happens regularly to our guests happened to her expensive HD news camera. And this entire year, it's been baking her noodle. She's been trying to figure out what on earth it was, and nobody has been able to reproduce it in that camera. Well, this year she came out and did some interviews with me, and they got featured on another local media station. So yesterday, it was 2 different news stations talking about this little old goofy thing that I created, Greenville Ghost Tour. But that's not what pays all my bills. It's the thing that I get to play.
That's your Friday
that I get to enjoy. And the other aspects of my career as an intuitive counselor, as a consultant for business and marketing, and as a professional hypnotist, all revolves around the exact same things. In fact, I've been a professional hypnotist. Well, I've been a practicing hypnotist for probably 15, 20 years, a professional clinical hypnotist. I only recently decided to open up that end of my practice, but it's simply because of the experience that I've had in seeing how this stuff helps me and other people. And
results driven.
It is. It's completely results driven. In fact, we in the clinical hypnosis world call it solution-based brief therapy. Solution-based brief therapy, not 17 years of going to a shrink for once a week or whatever, but with the brand for the hypnosis. Just another example of why Neothink is important. I wanted to put this brand on the top of local clinical hypnotists when people look for help with fears and phobias and self-improvement and study enhancement, memory enhancement, all this kind of stuff. I wanted to be the brand that they found, because when I'm too old to walk around downtown and tell ghost stories, I can still sit at a desk and help people accomplish amazing new integrations in their life. And that really drives me. The benefits that people gain from that hypnosis really drives me. But my number one competitor, I was basically right around the second spot. The number one competitor moved to a different area. And guess what happened? Because of my authority in the market and because of my position, I'm now the number one authority in this local area for hypnosis. And that's just an example. That brand is about a year and a half old. And it is now the top, like when folks are sitting in their doctor's office and the doctor's like, well, yeah, maybe we can find a local hypnotist. When they look up hypnosis for, fill in the blank, I'm the guy that they find. So it's more than just the Friday night essence. But the Friday night essence of my hypnosis is one of the most rewarding things that I do, because I get to see people just like you improve your lives in ways that you never could imagine before. And it's also fun that I get to do it on stage for corporations and stuff like
right,
that. We
that
actually
is
do
fun.
corporate hypnosis shows. Get to make
Those
people
are
fluff like a
fun.
chicken and stuff like
Right,
that.
I
The
love
fun
those.
stuff.
I've been there
And
before. It's fun.
I can't even allude at what those pay.
No, they're great. They're great.
Corporate work's a lot of fun.
Corporate work is fun. It pays. They want their people to lighten up, loosen up. They don't know how to do it, and you're able to do it. So I was thinking about, one thing you mentioned was looking into the future.
Yeah.
This is not something I'm going to be doing on downtown Greenville, my tours, my ghost tours, but I can be helping people. That is a lot about, Neothink is not about being selfless
Right.
like we're taught to be. It's about becoming selfish enough to improve yourself. But in doing so, you're going to be helping other people. So there's two movements of life that we focus on, and you've done that. But you're looking at the future, and I think today, sadly, we're taught to only focus on now.
That's right.
And so our youth are coming up in the world thinking about, what's it going to be like when I'm 50 years old and I don't want to do this anymore?
Well,
How
they
can I
are,
reinvent myself?
But they're running that future visualization the wrong way. They're seeing negatives. So guess what they're manifesting?
Negatives. Beautiful. Thank you for that. You're
That's-
right.
that's the problem.
They don't want to do what they're doing right now. Say they're working in fast foods or even in the airline industry, manual labor. They don't want to do that forever. But you're right. They're seeing so many of the negatives that they need someone like you who understands what it is to nullify the negatives. To quote Dr. Frank R. Wallace, Neo-Tech. Nullify the negatives, and then you can just find any solution. So it's a wonderful thing to be part of it. I feel so honored to.
Well, that's why I wanted to. That's originally why I reached out to you. When I haven't been a follower of Neothink, which, by the way, if you're a follower of Neothink, you're using it wrong. And it was. Gosh, it was probably just a couple of years ago before I ever decided to see what any of the new literature was, because I've been using and operating from the original manuscripts written by Dr. Wallace, and they have served me well. Materials like God-Man and our Neo-Tech world were kind of moving in a direction that kind of lost my interest, because it wasn't the nuts and bolts, nitty-gritty, what do I need to do to achieve things. But I decided to see what was going on in the world of Neothink. As far as community, it's important to have community. And when I was young and I ran across this stuff, it was very isolating to realize that I had all this information and knowledge and this new vision of the world, and there was nobody that I could talk to about it. And that's why I think the clubhouses are great. And so I encourage anybody that's in the Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson, Clemson area, get in touch with Jill, and she can get you in touch with me, because we're working on building, if nothing else for now, a virtual clubhouse. But we do have clubhouse activities beginning here in the Upstate. We're in the middle of a huge corporate growth area right now, but that also means that it's a lot of.
That was, yeah.
There's a lot of white collar hoax going on in the corporate world, but we're in an area of growth here, and there are seekers in the area. Our area is growing more and more. I mean, we are bursting at the seams with growth and business development here. And I just wanted to provide a hub for people who are of this mindset, who want to learn the things that Neothink brings into your life, and have somebody to discuss it with, and have some fellowship with other people. That's kind of why I think these clubhouses are sort of important. So we now have that here 20 years after I first began learning.
And I
about
think
this
it's
stuff.
wonderful, because here he was a very young man when he got this information, and he's willing to share it with anyone. We'll never grow the Neothink Society any larger than their database without having the clubhouse. So it's up to people like Jason who know the value of it and are willing to tell people, I stand upon what it is. This is why I am who I am. And come and join me at a clubhouse. Yes, you can reach out to Jill Reed. You can call us at 314-448-1462, and I can put you in touch. But you young people and you seniors and you, as we would call it, middle age, can also look online and find Jason Prophet and you will find him. And you will see that he has made himself who he is because he drilled down for solutions to problems, and he saw opportunities and expanded upon them. And as you say, creating types of universes.
Yeah, that's actually one of the concepts that Dr. Wallace was moving into when he was talking about Zon power. We are all Zons, God-man.
Right.
And these are tools that we can all use. They're universal. And it's important for folks to know that. Now, when you go looking on the internet, the number one thing you're going to find is a bunch of loser haters. I'm calling out you loser haters right now. In fact, you see them talking about things like, well, I don't know anybody that ever used Neo-Tech and became successful. That's because it was a loser that you're talking to. All right? There are people who have used Neo-Tech and Neothink to achieve greatness and to achieve far more value for themselves and their families than you can even possibly imagine. So when you read about these people who are hating on Neothink, or who are trying to say, oh, it's a cult and all this kind of stuff, a cult has to have a central authority figure. I am my authority. How about you?
My authority.
And this is what's important for folks who are trying to uncover and learn about this stuff to understand, is that everything you see on the internet about this information is pretty much just the haters. You don't see all of the letters that INO Publishing used to receive and that Neo-Tech received for decades, long before the internet even existed.
Let me tell you a quick little story. We were in Tampa over the weekend, put on an event. I knew this one lady. She's come in the last year or so, I would say, and she came to my last event in April. Well, she's at the event, and she says, oh, Jill, you have to meet. She introduced me to this man who's been friends with her for years. I asked him, how long have you been friends? She says, oh, 10 years. He goes, no, 20 years we've been friends. And I said, and you both read Neo. I said, whoa. And he says, I couldn't talk about it. I wasn't supposed to. People come into the society to get these wonderful secrets, and like you said, they're really out there, but to find them in one place, in the application system that Mark Hamilton put together, his dad created. He had the idea system. The philosophies are grand. They're for every individual universally. But now we have the application system, and the two of them had never talked. Here they were. He calls her mama. She calls him daddy. And they have never been able to have the kind of friendship that they now have, talking the concepts, the principles of Neo-Tech and Neothink. This is nowhere near a cult. This is for all ages. You were a young man when you got it, and now you have a beautiful life, a lovely home. Have helped her take her passion, her love for life to the higher levels, and you just are going to keep going because it's perpetual motion of that.
Back at us there, and we promise we'll keep this short.
We'll do our best.
So the video just shut off, so it's probably time for us to wrap this up. But we've been sitting here chatting for, gosh, probably about half an hour.
Right.
And this is, the kind of value that we like to be able to share with the world and help folks understand that, there are people out here who use this stuff to improve their lives. You've used it. I've used it for the past 20 years. And we just want you to know that you can reach out and ask your local Clubhouse coordinator. If you're in our area, here in Greenville, anywhere in South Carolina, really, get in touch with me, Jason Prophet, or get in touch with Jill. She can get you in touch with me. And it's been an absolute pleasure sitting here chatting with you and getting to meet you. And, we've been chatting on the internet for a couple of, about 6-8 months now.
I think so.
That's
And
when
you
I
went through
decided
the boot camp and decided, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah, I've decided, after so many years not really having anybody to communicate with about this stuff, I figured why not create a focal point here in our area for folks who want to learn more about this and want to discuss this with somebody who's knowledgeable and who has actually applied this and has proof.
Thank you for that, because really when he reached out and said, look, if you are listening to the people that have never used it to make them a success, there are equally the number of people or more that have used it And he is one you can reach out to. If you want to try to put it down, you talk to this young man who's been doing this since he was very young to find out that it is real.
It is.
So
It's very
Jason
real.
Prophet, the Greenville Ghost Tours.
Greenville Ghost Tour, local psychic, paranormal investigator, local clinical hypnotist. You know, I get to play for a living. I get to help people. I get to generate value in people's lives, and the emotional and psychological reward of that is so far overreaching into other areas of your life. You just can't possibly imagine how great it feels to be able to use these things to not only help yourself, but to help others around you. There is value in selfishness. The person who is selfish enough to be able to value themselves highly enough to put themselves out into the world and to generate new values for other people is a person who gets a great deal of reward without having to sacrifice of yourself.
And Jason knows this. Jason can teach it. I know it. I can teach it. There are people across the world that know this information and use it every day. They could be your next door neighbor. So we appreciate your taking the time to view this.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate your time. I know you've just come off of your high from Halloween.
6 weeks
and
ago
it's time to get
stories.
back into doing the
I'm
honeydews.
surprised my voice is even working right now because last night I sounded like a frog.
I bet.
I'm honestly surprised that my voice is working as well as
It was
is
meant
right
to
now.
happen. We finally
what it
caught
is.
up, and I appreciate your time.
That's what it is. Jill, it's been a pleasure talking
Likewise.
to you.
We'll
And
be
hey,
back.
if you guys are in the area, make sure you reach out to Jill and get in touch with me. All right, guys?
Thank you.